से है चल पड़ा अज़्मो हिम्मत का निशान, जिद्दत का कारवान ए नौजवान। हो छू लो आसमान, तुम हो पाकिस्तान, छू लो आसमान, तुम हो पाकिस्तान। रास्ता दिखाएंगे हम, हिम्मत बंधाएंगे हम, ऊंची भरो उड़ान ए नौजवान। हो छू लो आसमान, तुम हो पाकिस्तान, छू लो आसमान, तुम हो पाकिस्तान। नाज़ा ये सरज़मी है, तुम पर इसे यकीन है, बन जाओ इसका मान ए नौजवान। हो छू लो आसमान, तुम हो पाकिस्तान, छू लो आसमान।
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this very special and exclusive edition of Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz. Now, growing up, we've seen the era of superheroes, haven't we? Because the youth genuinely connect to superheroes well, and they tend to follow idols as well. And we've seen the Powerpuff Girls, the Wonder Woman. But if you talk about this modern age, and we're in the year 2023, and we always talk about that Pakistan has the largest youth potential in the world, and they're very talented, but they needed somebody to connect with and somebody to represent them. Not just on the policy stage as well, but I think to be an identity, a guiding light for which they can follow. So somebody I'm going to be introducing you to does not need any introduction obviously, but in a very short span of time with the mandate she was given, she was able to achieve so much, not for herself, but for us. When we talk about the youth, for all of you who were probably feeling a bit left out when it came to policy making and all the sporting activities around the world. So definitely I would call her the voice of the youth in Pakistan as well, and like I always say, she is a living legend, because in such a short span, you know, it's very difficult to get all of these things achieved, whether it's the Prime Minister's laptop scheme, whether it's the talent hunt program, whether it's Pakistan's authentic sports policy, the Prime Minister's new initiative that was just launched a day back. All of this becomes, I think, very important for us, but all the credit definitely goes to her and her team as well. So I'm going to be introducing you to her, and we'll talk about all of this that you wanted to know, and what is the future, because obviously you're very certain that you're going to be going ways. So let's talk about this. Joining us, we're very honored to have with us on Sports Extra is Special Assistant to the Prime Minister on Youth Affairs, Ms. Shaza Fatima Khawaja. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Good, thank you so much.
First of all, how is it possible that we see that in time of distress, where we've seen a very dark age in Pakistan, the youth was a bit disoriented, and you come with this vision in such a short span of time? What was the first priority when you joined the office?
Thank you very much for this introduction. The first thing that I'd like to say is that all of this was actually the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif Sahab, and it has a history to it. So going back in 2008, when he joins office as the Chief Minister, you know, over the next till 2018, he served in that position. And in that space, in that decade, Punjab actually saw the transformation that we see today, and especially in the field of youth. So he started with the laptop scheme there, business loans there, youth agriculture loans, Punjab Education Endowment Fund, which has till date, you know, supported more than 450,000 individuals. E-Rozgar, e-governance, e-libraries, you know, really transforming the whole landscape. Lahore got free internet hotspots. And when I talk about sports, Punjab got the largest sports festivals in those times. And I don't think that any such precedence existed before that, or has anything of the sort has been done after that as well. So those youth festivals and sports festivals really made headlines, and we got thousands of Guinness records, and engaged our young people on a mass level, and there was a sense of festivity, hope, and idea of development of our young people, because we all know and we all believe that sports really gives you that holistic development, whether it's mental health, whether it's physical health, whether it's teamwork, leadership. All of that really develops a young person's personality. So that is where he took off. And then 2013, when we came into the federal government, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif launched a whole Prime Minister's Youth Program, the office where you're sitting right now, because youth became a devolved subject. So the idea was how to cater to them. It's such a cross-cutting subject, how to cater to these young people and their needs in the federal government. So Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif at that time made an office directly under his own supervision. So therefore, this office is hosted in the Prime Minister's office and is directly chaired by the Prime Minister himself. It was a holistic youth program that was given at that point in time. Again, scholarships, laptops, business loans, interest-free loans, internships, all of this was a complete package for employment and enablement of young people. Comes 2022 and PM Shahbaz Sharif comes, the first decision that he takes regarding sports is to reinstate department sports. Unfortunately, in the last government, by a stroke of a pen, 40,000 sportsmen and sportswomen became jobless because department sports were shut down, the budgets were closed.
I call it the darkest stage in sports for our country.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. For any sports person, if you don't take care of their economics, their finances, no one can perform. They can't be on the field when they have children to feed, when they have families to take care of, bills to pay. So you have to take care of their personal development, their personal economy, I would say specifically. So, giving them, so the idea was to reinstate the department sports, get these people back into the jobs that they had. And also, I'll come to it later, but once they retire, what is their future then? So you also have to take care of their economics after their retirement, because it's such a field that you retire at a very young age. So that was the first step that Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif took, and people started, get reintegrated into the employment overall. So that's what happened, and then the revival of the Prime Minister's Youth Program. So there are multiple aspects to it, but I'll stick to sports because this is what our focus is today. So one of the 4 E's that Prime Minister's Youth Program functions, the framework under which it functions, is engagement. The engagement component is to encourage young people again to come into the field, to come back to the fields, to come back to sports, to come back to positive activities, to get engaged in activities that are really, bring the positivity back into for the last 4, 5, 6 years, I would say, the kind of hateful politics, the kind of toxic environment, the kind of, then COVID came.
The polarization.
Polarization, and then, so the political polarization, which unfortunately translated into dehumanization of politicians. And it really destroyed our social fabric, our young people on social media, the trolling, the language that was used from top to bottom. It has been a very unfortunate time, I would say, to grow up in. Then came COVID, we were all quarantined. That also had an impact on our mental health. So how to bring these young people back into the positive activities, that's the engagement part of it. So they started the Sports Talent Hunt program, and the Sports Talent Hunt program has 12 sports that will be, part of the overall structure. But this year, we completed the wrestling and weightlifting. And then we started hockey, volleyball and football trials, and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of young people became a part of it. I would say the good part of the program and the emphasis that the Prime Minister had was that no child should be left behind. And for that to happen, we really penetrated into all provinces, AJK, GB, Islamabad, federal areas. And even within the provinces, we chose 6 to 7 at least districts or divisions where young people.
A very transparent process and a very diverse process.
Yeah, so so for instance, we had a talent and program in Khuzdar, Mardan, Chitral, Uthal, and then interior Larkana. All of it was the idea was that no single child should be deprived of the opportunity to showcase their talent, or even if they don't have the talent and they have the passion to play sports, they should be given that opportunity. And for that we also started camps. So for all of these trials, once the young people were selected, they would attend camps, then they would do a provincial league where they'd compete with the regions in intra-provincial regions.
Absolutely.
Come up with a provincial team, and that provincial team will then come into the nationals in the first week of August.
Under the federations, yes.
Under the, yeah, absolutely. HEC has been a very strong partner. They're the implementing body, so I would really, commend their efforts. Their sports team, Chairman Dr. Mukhtar himself has been very forthcoming. So that team really also contributed to the Prime Minister's vision to allow us to actually implement it on ground. So we really feel that this is one program that actually physically went to the doorsteps of our young people, and it is something that would really help contribute, bring back hope in the lives of these young people, in lives of sportsmen, sportswomen. Last thing that I would like to mention is that every sport that we're doing the talent hunt for, we have ensured that exactly equal amount of budget and opportunity would be given to girls as is being given to boys. There were times when I was told that in XYZ area girls will not come, will not play. We still held camps even if we had 4 girls, 5 girls. We were like, that's fine. Like I said, no one should be left behind. We actually also had to make, our team made special arrangements in certain areas for separate trials and separate events where they had to, because of the cultural constraints of those areas. So we're trying to be inclusive, we're trying to be transparent, and we're trying to reach out to every single young person who is interested in playing.
Well, I must commend you as well and your team. Like I said in my introduction as well, that for the first time in many years, that sense of deprivation is gone now. So we have an individual in yourself that we can connect with. So I, for example, representing the youth, can always be pleased and at the same time be at ease that, I've got Shaza representing me on the political forum and with the government as well. So I think on behalf of the entire youth fraternity of Pakistan, I'm sure you get a lot of commendation from them, but I would really like to thank you because, being their voice, they finally feel that they have a platform. And they have hope, like you said, that you give the society hope and they will do wonders.
Absolutely.
And especially for the youth. I'm tempted to ask you the social media aspect of it as well. How well has that been a tool? Because obviously social engagement, like you mentioned, is very important. And particularly when you talk about this platform that you have created over the internet as well, has gained a lot of popularity as far as youth connection is concerned.
So I would say that media and propagation of our work might not have been the strongest suit of our government over the years, and a lot of the times it is not because we don't have the expertise to do so or the interest to do so, but the focus on actual work has been overpowering and overarching when it comes to working. So, my team keeps telling me XYZ program recording, and they'll tell you how difficult it is for them to get these slots because we're always consumed in, the actual implementation of the projects. But I feel that that is also wrong to some extent, because until and unless there is awareness of the program, its effectiveness is also affected.
That means we're here at the right time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the effectiveness is also, I did feel that maybe if we had a better social media propagation for our youth program, we might have had better participation as well, and we could have improved that, and that's something that we'll work on or the team will work on even when I'm not there in a couple of months. That's something that we've learned, that social media propagation before the thing starts has to be enough to get people at least informed about what is happening.
Absolutely.
So that they can actually participate in it.
Absolutely.
So that is something that is required. But overall, if we look at it, when you talk about young people, they're about 70% of the population. 2017, there were 150 million. Now there, God knows how many young
Numbers are
people we
growing.
have now. So social media is something that they literally live and breathe. So whenever you do anything regarding sports or youth, our hashtags that we use, so there are two main hashtags that we've used overall for the Prime Minister's Youth Program. One is Chulo Asman and the other is Aao Kar Dikhaएं. So, a message of hope, a message of determination, a message that we really have the confidence in our young people that they can really reach those potentials. So these hashtags you will see have gotten organic support as well.
Yes.
A lot of organic support. Similarly, PM's laptop scheme got a lot of organic support. So that's what we usually count on. So that's the kind of social media use that we're doing. On the other side, we have Ministry of Information.
Absolutely.
That is taking care
Yes.
of our digital campaign as well. We've just launched a digital campaign for the PM Special Initiatives for young people.
Ma'am,
that is
particularly
taking-
about this initiative that has been launched by the Prime Minister yesterday, has not just been making headlines, but has really given us a direction of making headway through a time where we see that patronage is very important for all of these sports personalities. Do tell us about this program as well and what the future has for this particular program that the Prime Minister launched yesterday.
So yesterday's program was a part of about more than 80 billion rupee package that the Prime Minister has for young people. It's actually almost 100 billion rupee package. And in these economically trying times, it's quite a significant amount if we look at it. But it was his vision and it was his passion to invest in young people. And why is it so? Because we've seen the success stories that have come out of laptops, that have come out of business loans. They've really transformed not only individual lives or their families, but actually whole communities around them.
Yes.
And they're bringing in, right now, they're exporting services, people have opened software houses, someone has opened further training schools for girls in the remotest of areas. So those success stories, really give us that encouragement that this amount which is being spent is not actually an expenditure, but an investment in our young people, and this has to be the best investment that we do, because our human capital right now is the the most valuable asset that we have, given the large population. Having said that, the sports initiative itself was a part of that 80 billion, and 5 billion package for sports was specially reserved. And Prime Minister himself has been a sports person in his college days, so he has a passion for it himself as well. So the package as it rolls out, I think one groundbreaking initiative would be a specialized sports university that will be launched. It is actually in progress and some of the classes are already taking place. It was under, over the last 1 year, work was being done on it. Again, the reason for this was that we do focus on our players and we do focus on coaches, but we've never gone beyond that. We've never gone to technical assistants, technical staff. We've never, really focused on the physiotherapists, the nutritionists. Now everything's all automated.
Yes, the technology
The
that's
technology,
going, sports science now.
sports science, right? So even when a competition is going on, to see those videos, to review them, to actually analytically have an
AI,
opinion
data
on them,
analytics,
absolutely. So that kind of technical stuff, then planning of what the infrastructure for sports should look like, what the pathway for individual sports should be, all of that specialty of critical human resource is lacking. And I think that this sports university will really fill that vacuum, and we will have professionals who will in the coming few years be available to us, who can guide us and our policies better. So that's the first project. 1 billion rupees have been kept for that. Then again, I think one of the most, so Prime Minister's focus has always been on sustainability.
Yes.
Sometimes what happens is that we launch policies, they're just one-time grants, and next year
They
either
fade
it's
away.
wrapped up,
It's-
or if the government changes, the whole program is shut down. But again, his experience of Punjab Education Endowment Fund has really played a role where he's setting up Pakistan Sports Endowment Fund. Now that endowment fund, whether the governments come or go, will stay because it's an endowment fund. It will be run as a company with private sector plus public sector combined taking care of the fund, specialist investors being a part of that board. The idea is that the returns from that fund will eventually help in supporting our emerging players, supporting our elite pool, financially supporting our legends who've retired. Again, getting foreign coaches. You know, our young people have very little, very small impediments that should actually not even be any issues. For example, they have to go play a ranking match, they don't have the air ticket. They have the air ticket, they don't have enough to, for their food and their living, accommodation.
Yes. Sometimes there's a visa policy
expenses.
issue, yes.
That's not happening. Visas are very expensive. The team has to go. You know, there's such petty issues that a national level sports person should not face.
Or they're going alone without their team.
Absolutely.
That's often happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. You know, these are the kind of stresses that your sports person should be absolutely clear in their head, focused on their sport, and not thinking about how will I get the ticket, what will I do when I land there, will I have a transport or not. You know, this is not something which should be your international players' headache. So, in order to solve those problems, the Prime Minister decided that this endowment fund, the returns that come from this endowment fund, will be available with the ministry, regardless of whether they get the regular budget or not. Sometimes, the government's preferences keep changing. We go through difficult times. So this kind of fund sustains the activities and does not put a halt to our regular development of sports. So that's I think that's one of the most crucial things that is going to happen, and that will actually sustain through the years. We started the Punjab Education Endowment Fund with 2 billion. It is now at 18 billion.
Yes.
It has dispersed more than 28 billion rupees to young people. We have students who are studying in the US, the UK, LUMS through that fund. So we're hoping that a similar thing will happen with the Sports Endowment Fund as well, and it will increase as we go on. We're going to try and get private partners to really add to the endowment fund so that more and more can be earned every year to be spent on sports development. The last part of it is because the endowment fund, once we establish it and the returns when they start coming, would be at least a year down. So for this 1 year, I mean, you can't have sports people wait a year, wait a second. The endowment fund is still in the making.
Let me plan a tournament next year.
Yeah, next year. Some of them will retire in that 1 year. Others will probably lose their that stamina that they've built, the training that they're doing. So for this 1 year, a direct spending of 2.5 billion has been allocated, again for the same purposes. Our emerging players, our elite pool, our legends, grants for them, facilitation for getting foreign coaches, sending our teams to play friendly matches. These little, so 2.5 billion has been reserved specifically for that. So that is the program, overall program that the Prime Minister launched. It really is all encompassing in terms of developing human resource, human capital, training, supporting all tiers, emerging, elite pool, and the legends, all tiers of our sportsmen, sportswomen, and also a very futuristic vision when it comes to setting up an endowment so that the sustainability is ensured.
What's the biggest challenge that you've seen now over this span of time? Because like I said, I understand that in a very less amount of time, you were able to tick all of these boxes. For me, it's unbelievable, and I recognize where the approach and where that drive is coming from, probably a former sports personality yourself. But what's the biggest impediment that you've seen, and something that you'd like to take on as a head-on challenge the next time you have this opportunity again?
The biggest challenge is not actually something that was in my purview. It was the the internal politics of sports federations themselves. And that was not something that was under my control or under our purview overall. But I feel that it is this particular problem that is actually hurting the sports in Pakistan overall and sportsmen and women as well. They've created divide amongst sports people. They've really, I mean, our talent and program was shut down across different areas in Pakistan because of this petty politics of the sports federations that we have. And I feel that it's been very unfortunate. There was a point where I told them that if not your sport, I can divert my money to another sport if you're not interested. Because we can't afford to have these impediments because it's hurting young people. It was very difficult for the Prime Minister to take out these, every penny was needed, every penny was being accounted for. We had the IMF, we had the, everyone was, the default mongerers were, spreading all sorts of things. There was uncertainty, times were difficult. But in all of that, if the Prime Minister is willing to allocate resources, do those releases and really had a hands-on approach and very proactive approach. So we felt that it was very unfair on parts of certain federations to cause these issues. But at the end of the day, we did try. Like I said, the HEC played a very positive role, and then eventually we did manage to sit everyone down, create a balance, and get things going.
I mean, you took them head on. You took them head on because these were federations that were never meddled with and had been there for quite some time. You were, I think, one of the few individuals who decided that I'm going to take them head on, whatever happens.
We had no option. We had to get our program going, with or without them. So that was the end goal. So they could either be with us or not be with us. It was their choice, and they were given that choice. Sometimes we were able to resolve issues, sometimes we weren't able to resolve issues, but overall I think that we were able to, as we speak, I'll be, probably going and the volleyball men's league in Islamabad has completed today. The football league is starting today for women. Similarly, Lahore Hockey League started yesterday. So as we speak, the provincial leagues are in process. So I believe that at the end of the day, what matters is that our young people were able to play. They got the opportunity. They got to express their and showcase their talent, and we were able to run boot camps. We were able to really engage and give that message of hope to young people. And inshallah, in August, once we launch the national games of these 3 sports that we've covered, I think that will be the culmination point of all of this.
Inshallah, definitely. Well, thank you very much once again for taking out time. And like I said, these challenges, all of them, the way you've tackled them really give the youth a sense of hope. And like I said, for the very first time in many years, the youth were able to see an individual they could say is representing them on part of, at the government level, at the policy level as well. So thank you so much for making a difference.
Thank you so much.
And we sincerely hope that these policies under your able leadership continue, and under the able leadership of the Prime Minister as well. Absolutely. And, hope is something that you've created. And going across these segments of these provinces and these cities, whenever you talk to the youth, they'll be talking about this initiative, this talent hunt program. So just because people are talking about it means that we have created a successful model for something. So thank you very much for being our voice when it comes to your
Thank you so much for the encouragement.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That wraps it up. You've heard from the living legend herself, as I always say. History will always speak for itself. And whenever a story of sports and talent would be written in the next few years, I think one certain name would always be there, and that is, of course, of Miss Shaza, Fatima Khawaja, where she was able to develop a sustainable model. Whenever we talk about these things, we talk about a sustainable model that can continue. And like I always say, that the youth has finally been given a voice. They've been able to, bridge that gap and be connected. And sports is certainly flourishing. And as those 2 hashtags speak for themselves of Chulo Asman and Aao Kar Dikhaye, I think it is your time now to connect with all of this, this entire program, and make sure that you're the next big thing, not just for yourself, your family, but for Pakistan as well. That wraps it up from me and the entire team of Sports Extra. It's goodbye for now.